In this podcast episode, Joe Rogan welcomes Remi Warren, a professional hunter and podcaster, to discuss a wide range of topics from hunting experiences to technology and privacy concerns. The conversation begins with Rogan reminiscing about how he encouraged Warren to start his own podcast, highlighting the growth of podcasting since they first met. Warren reflects on his journey into podcasting and how Rogan's encouragement played a significant role in his decision to start his own show. The discussion then shifts to Warren's extensive hunting experiences, with Rogan expressing admiration for Warren's dedication to spending a significant amount of time in the woods each year. Warren shares that he hunts around 200 days a year, emphasizing the unpredictable and diverse nature of hunting experiences. He describes the thrill of not knowing what each day in the wilderness will bring, highlighting the unique challenges and rewards of hunting in different environments. Warren recounts a recent hunting trip to the Arctic Circle, where he encountered muskox and experienced the harsh conditions of the frozen tundra. He shares insights into the lifestyle of the indigenous people living in the Arctic, who rely on hunting and fishing for sustenance. He discusses the traditional foods consumed in the region, such as whale fat, and the challenges of living in such a remote and extreme environment. The conversation then delves into Warren's wrist injury, which required 2 surgeries and significantly impacted his ability to hunt. He explains the complications that arose from the initial botched surgery, leading to a loss of feeling in his hand and prolonged recovery. Despite the challenges, he adapted by learning to shoot with his mouth using a tab, allowing him to continue hunting during his recovery period. Rogan and Warren discuss the concept of target panic in archery, where the pressure to achieve a perfect shot can lead to anxiety and poor performance. Warren shares his experience with different shooting techniques and releases, highlighting the importance of finding what works best for individual hunting situations. He explains his preference for a wrist strap release with a finger trigger for hunting, citing its convenience and control in critical moments. The conversation touches on the debate surrounding shooting techniques in archery, with Rogan and Warren acknowledging the diversity of approaches among successful hunters and archers. They discuss the importance of adapting to individual preferences and situations rather than adhering strictly to conventional wisdom. Warren shares examples of renowned archers who have achieved success using unconventional methods, emphasizing the importance of finding what works best for each individual. The conversation continues with reflections on the joy and fulfillment that hunting brings to Warren's life. He expresses gratitude for being able to pursue his passion and spend time in nature, despite the challenges and setbacks he has faced. Rogan commends Warren for his dedication to hunting and podcasting, highlighting the importance of following one's passions and finding fulfillment in life. The conversation then shifts to the topic of injuries and the use of stem cell injections for healing. Warren shares his experience with receiving stem cell injections for a torn ligament in his wrist and discusses the potential benefits of this treatment. Rogan also talks about his own experience with stem cell injections for a knee injury and how it has helped him alleviate pain and improve mobility. The discussion then moves on to the differences between Apple and Android phones, particularly in terms of messaging capabilities. They talk about the status symbol associated with owning an iPhone and the limitations of communication between iPhone and Android users. Warren shares his preference for Android phones and discusses the features and capabilities that he enjoys, such as multitasking and camera quality. The conversation touches on the psychological aspect of brand loyalty and status symbols, comparing it to other industries like Nike versus Adidas. They also discuss the potential impact of Apple's iMessage system on communication and the recent introduction of RCS texting to address some of the limitations of traditional messaging. They also delve into the topic of privacy and data tracking by tech companies like Google. Warren mentions a video he watched about privacy concerns and the ways in which companies like Google track user data. They discuss the implications of giving up personal information for convenience and the importance of protecting privacy in the digital age. The conversation then shifts to the advancements in technology, particularly in the realm of self-driving cars. Warren shares his experience with his Tesla and the impressive capabilities of self-driving technology. They discuss the potential future where driving one's own car may become obsolete as self-driving technology continues to improve. The discussion then moves to the topic of posture and the impact of technology on physical health. Warren and Rogan talk about the importance of maintaining good posture, especially in a world where people are constantly looking down at their phones. They also touch on the development of ergonomic chairs and how they can help improve posture and overall health. The conversation shifts back to hunting, when Warren shares his preference for using two-blade broadheads, citing the importance of penetration over a larger cut. He explains his reasoning behind this choice and discusses the differences between mechanical and fixed-blade broadheads. The conversation also touches on the evolution of hunting tools and the effectiveness of different types of arrowheads. The conversation then takes a turn towards paleontology and the evolution of whales. Warren and Rogan discuss the discovery of a whale skeleton in the desert and the implications of this finding on our understanding of whale evolution. They explore the idea that whales evolved from land mammals and how this transition may have occurred over time. The topic of dinosaurs and their evolution is also discussed, with Warren and Rogan touching on the speculative nature of reconstructing dinosaur skeletons and the potential for inaccuracies in our understanding of these ancient creatures. They talk about the possibility of dinosaurs having feathers and the implications of this on our perception of these prehistoric animals. The conversation then shifts to the potential resurrection of mammoths through genetic engineering. Warren and Rogan discuss the process of bringing back extinct species and the ethical considerations surrounding de-extinction. They speculate on the impact of reintroducing mammoths into the wild and the potential consequences of altering ecosystems in this way. The podcast continues with a discussion on climate change and the potential risks of global cooling. Warren and Rogan talk about the dangers of triggering another ice age and the importance of considering the long-term effects of climate interventions. They emphasize the need for careful consideration and research when it comes to implementing large-scale environmental changes. The conversation then shifts to the topic of Mormon crickets, large insects that can cause significant damage to crops and roads. Warren shares his experience of encountering these crickets in his area, where they create slippery road conditions and piles of dead insects. The discussion also touches on the phenomenon of grasshoppers turning into locusts under certain conditions, leading to swarms that can devastate crops and vegetation. The conversation delves into the concept of feral animals, particularly wild pigs, that can undergo physiological changes when released into the wild. Warren explains how domestic pigs can transform into wild boars with longer snouts and fur, adapting to survive in natural environments. The discussion also touches on the impact of introducing non-native species to new habitats, such as the decimation caused by wild cats in Australia. The conversation then explores the reintroduction of predators like wolves into various ecosystems. Warren shares his experience of encountering Mexican wolves in New Mexico and discusses the challenges and controversies surrounding the reintroduction of wolves in places like Colorado. The potential conflicts between wolves and other predators, such as mountain lions, are highlighted, showcasing the complex dynamics of predator interactions in the wild. Warren emphasizes the need to consider the current ecosystem and human populations when reintroducing predators like wolves, as their presence can have far-reaching consequences on local wildlife and communities. Warren also discusses the logistics of planning hunting trips to different parts of the world, including obtaining permits, working with local guides, and navigating unfamiliar terrain. He emphasizes the importance of respecting local hunting traditions and practices, as well as the need for conservation efforts to protect wildlife populations and their habitats. Throughout the podcast, Warren and Rogan touch on the thrill of bow hunting, the adrenaline rush of close encounters with wild animals, and the satisfaction of harvesting game for food. They also discuss the ethical considerations of hunting, the role of predators in maintaining ecosystem balance, and the cultural significance of hunting in different societies.